So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I led the top SBA lender in the state of Tennessee. We were the top for about 4 years in a row. Of course, the SBA ranks their top lenders based on two different factors. They do it based on volume, meaning the number of loans that you do that are SBA loans. They also do it based on the dollar amount. And we were the top based on volume. In the 5th year that I was there, we were in the top as well in my state for not just volume, but also in size. One of the first SBA loans that I did was for a gentleman named Michael. He had been a veteran, he had been in the military, and he was coming back and he was starting his own business. And he was the first to educate me on what was called the 8A designation or 8A certification, depending on the way you name it. And that certification is for what is considered disadvantaged business owners. And there's a bunch of classifications that it goes into. I'm actually going to share with you what it takes to qualify for the 8A designation. But the reason I'm recording this today is because recently a district court, a U.S. district court, actually struck down the ability for the SBA 8A certification to include certain things that it had in the past. Basically, what was happening is you used to be able to demonstrate that you were a disadvantaged person essentially by checking a box on an application. And so the SBA and the lenders that were facilitating the SBA programs weren't really required to do any additional work to verify that the individual business owner was disadvantaged. So what I suspect happened is the SBA finally caught on that there may have been some fraudulent applications in that program. Of course, there are plenty of people who needed that program. When you think disadvantaged, they usually classify that by minorities, right? So different Native Americans were included in that. Women business owners were included in that designation. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, I'm working with a lady right now who is also looking for an SBA loan, and she has a 8A designation. She is a veteran and she has an 8A designation. So anyways, the point is that the courts most recently struck down the ability to basically just check a box and claim that you were disadvantaged and therefore you qualified for the 8A program. It's important to note that the 8A is not a loan program. The 7A is a specific loan program, but the 8A is just a certification for disadvantage. And what it does is it provides some technical assistance and direct access to government contracts that are specifically set aside for 8A certified individuals. So that's really important to note. But I'm recording this video for you today because a lot of people have been posting articles on the internet acting like the 8A certification and the program is going away, and it hasn't. Although the SBA has paused accepting applications into the program, the people who already have the designation are able to keep it. They've just had to reapply and go through some extra steps to prove that they are a disadvantaged business owner. But today what I want to do is just kind of go over with you what the certification looks like, what it takes to get it, and those types of things, and then tell you what this going away really means if you were a person who wanted to qualify for the 8A certification. So how do you qualify for an SBA 8A certification? There's a couple of requirements here. The first is you have to meet the definition of a small business. Now, what a lot of people don't know is the definition for the SBA of a small business is probably not what you and I call a small business. So one of the ways they classify this is it includes an average number of employees, so generally less than 1,500, and an annual revenue under $41 million. Now, to me, a $40 million business is not really that small, but that's what they include. Now, the reason that range is so big, though, is because what they actually do to determine if you qualify for a small business is it depends on your industry. So in some industries, you could be considered a small business if you had $40 million in revenue. In others, you wouldn't qualify. And so you have to check that through the SBA's website to see. So it is industry specific. To qualify for the 8A, you have to have less than a certain number of employees and less than a certain amount of revenue. You cannot have previously been in the 8A program. And then at least 51% of your business is owned by someone in a disadvantaged class. So for Michael, the gentleman I was sharing with that turned me onto this program decades ago, when he applied, what he did is he had formed his business. They were going after government contracts, specifically in the 8A program. He had formed his business and he had given his wife 51% ownership of the business. And so that's how he was qualifying. You have to be a U.S. citizen, and then there's some requirements around net worth, adjusted income, and total assets. So net worth has to be less than 850,000, roughly. Adjusted income has to be less than 400,000, and your total assets have to be less than $6.5 million. So that is how you qualify for the 8A certification. Now, again, the SBA has closed it right now, but I suspect they'll reopen it. What happened is the U.S. District Court, if you've seen this, not to get political, but if you've seen any of this, another court, may have been the Supreme Court, actually struck down affirmative action. And so following with that, a U.S. District Court has basically said, you can't just, what people are saying out on the internet who don't understand this is they're saying, well, you can't just give SBA loans to disadvantaged people. Again, I want to clarify that. That is not what has happened. The SBA has, the ruling by the U.S. District Court has basically said, the summary is that there's additional legwork that needs to be done to prove that someone is disadvantaged. So I think the program will reopen. I'm having trouble speaking today. Let's just be honest. I almost sounded like a Wascally Rabbit cartoon from when I was a kid. I think the 8A program will reopen. I think what is probably going to happen is the SBA is going to expand their underwriting criteria to prove that you qualify for the SBA 8A program. And then once you have that, though, you're in the program, you can then take advantage of the benefits, the technical assistance, the education they provide, and also the ability to be on a short list for specific government contracts. And that was what Michael, my client, was really trying to go after, is using that 8A to go after and win those contracts. So I think the program has not disappeared, which is what a lot of people are sort of out there promoting. I think it's just on pause right now while the SBA figures out how they're going to do it going forward. I think it'll come back. And so if you are in this disadvantaged category, again, you can go to the SBA's website and see their exact definition. If you feel like you qualify for that and that you'd like to get in the program going forward, I highly encourage you just to watch the news. I think it's going to come back, and it is a great program that really, really helps people take advantage of certain benefits. The last thing I'll say is, if you thought that the SBA pausing the 8A or going away or whatever it is you read is going to impact your ability to get an SBA loan, remember, the 8A is not a loan program. It is a program, okay? It's not a loan program, so it's not the 7A, it's not the 504. So if you need capital from the SBA, there is still an opportunity to go get that. There's not really been any changes there, other than actually very favorable changes. And I'll go into that some other time, but just know that the loan programs are still there. The SBA is still deploying capital. And so if you need a business loan to grow your business, I, by the way, would be happy to help you. Reach out to me and I'll guide you along the way. I have over 200 lenders in my network that do business loans, many of which are SBA lenders. All right. Hope that helps. Have a great day.